It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I was actually a minute early today for a change. So today, what we're going to talk about, probably for the last time for a while, because I want to get on to talking about other cases and things, other things that I have managed to catch up through the jury deliberations. I did catch up with a few cases that I wanted to talk about, but of course, most of the past couple of months has been taken up with this bizarre case of Erin Patterson cruelly and callously murdering these three vulnerable people, Don, Gail and Heather, and making Ian, Heather's husband, so terribly ill. But luckily he pulled through and he helped convict Erin, didn't he? Because he was such a convincing witness during the trial, such an honest witness. You know, some people, you just know they're nice people straight away, don't you? Even though some people, you just know they're horrible straight away. I'm going to talk about a few horrible people to start off with in this video. But the main thing I'm going to be talking about, I knew that things would come out about Erin after she was found guilty. Of course they are. We looked at a few things yesterday. We're going to look at what kind of person apparently she was. Everyone's a little bit confused, I think, about Erin because, people seem to say she's intelligent. How did she ever think she would get away with this? Well, I personally think it's because she thought she was a lot more intelligent than she actually was. Also, as I am living proof of this morning, I'll tell you what happened to me this morning. You can be intelligent. I think I'm a reasonably intelligent person. Don't think I'm a genius, but I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I've got a degree. I can put a sentence together. I think I'm a reasonably intelligent person, sensible person. Not always, but sometimes. But sometimes even intelligent people, clever people, sensible people do things totally, that you can't explain why you've done it. I did something like this morning. So if you watch my channel regularly, you will know that my air fryer broke last week, along with the car, along with a few things, electrical things that went wrong. So this morning, off I went to buy a new air fryer. It was really weird to wake up this morning and not be looking for the verdict, because normally the first thing I do when I wake up is I'm looking to see has the verdict come in, any news about the mushroom trial. And today it was like, the verdict's happened and she's guilty. And there's still a euphoria for me that Erin has been found guilty because she is guilty. She deserves everything that's coming to her. Triple murderer and an attempted murderer. That's what we know about. Anyway, so off I trolled. We're going to talk about trolls in a minute. Off I trolled to the shopping centre. Bought a few bits of shopping. It was a bit cooler today here in Spain. It's only 31 degrees as opposed to 36 degrees. But it's quite cloudy, so it was a little bit cooler. But it was still pretty hot and sultry. Off I went to the shopping centre. Bought a bit of shopping, bought the air fryer. Came back, and luckily, as soon as I picked the air fryer up out of the boot, I looked at it and I thought, it's not an air fryer. It's a fryer, like a fryer. It's not an air fryer. It's for making chips and, things like that, which sometimes can be handy, but I don't want one of them. I wanted an air fryer, so I've bought the wrong thing. So I brought my other shopping back in. Off I trolled back to the shopping centre. changed it without any fuss. So it was good. But, that was 2 trips. All I wanted to do was get home, get changed, get a drink and sit and talk to you guys. Anyway, that's why I would have been a bit earlier today. I probably would have been on at 11 Spanish time. So this is what I'm saying. So although I think I'm quite an intelligent person sometimes, not always. There's loads of things that I do that are stupid. Like you just think, why did I do that? Like this morning, why didn't I check that was an air fryer? Fancy not. No, I even looked at the display model because I remember looking at it and thinking, oh, this looks good. You can put things in the top of it instead of, normally it's the drawer that comes out. It popped up at the top and I'm thinking, oh, that's different. That's good. Thicko. So sometimes I can be a complete thicko. Sometimes I can be quite intelligent. So I think that's it with Erin. Also, I think the other thing is that Erin just seemed intelligent. Very intelligent, because a lot of the people that she was around, maybe I'm not saying they weren't intelligent. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but Erin didn't hang around with scientists and university people or people who maybe were more intelligent than her, did she? She liked to be the top dog, didn't she? She liked to be the one in control, and she mocked Simon's family for being church going and religious. They were just nice people. They weren't intellectual highbrows, and she mocked that as if, they were lesser than her. Horrible woman. So I think that's why Erin did think that she could get away with all this, which she couldn't. But anyway, we're going to look in this video, as I say today, a little bit about what is Erin really like and what are people saying now. Because, of course, before the verdict, it was hush hush. People have been in trouble for saying too much on podcasts. We're going to look at that as well. So we're going to look at a few, and then I am going to leave this case alone for a while. Then I'm going to catch up with other cases. So, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, as always. It can't stop me talking. There's always something to talk about, isn't there? So I'm going to, normally I say hello, right? In fact, I will. I'll do my hellos first. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to those of you who sent me super stickers, Ko-fi's, PayPal me, sent me nice emails or left nice messages. And I want to say a special thank you to the, I get emails every day with information, not only information about cases, but information about other things. And that's something I'm going to talk about in a minute. Thank you so much. I have such a lovely community with such faithful, kind supporters. I feel privileged for that. Thank you so much. That people think about my welfare. They don't like people bad-mouthing me over on other channels like sometimes they do. Don't you, you loathsome lurkers? I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to talk especially to you because you know what you need talking to, and make of it what you will. So thank you for that. So hello, lovely lurkers. And a lot of us are lurkers. I've come to discover that because these messages that I get and emails that I get from people who have lurked on other channels, and if anything comes up about me, that people being nasty, people who don't even know me or know anything about me tell lies about me. They think they won't get seen on other channels. They do not realise this is the internet. Anyone can see it. They send me screenshots, which I just put away and keep to one side just in case I ever need to show the truth of what's been said. But these people who do that, they're thickos as well, because they don't realize that what they put on in chats is open for everybody to see. And people, as much as they might think they're really popular, they're actually not. People quite often don't even comment on the things they said because they don't agree with them, but they don't want to not agree with them because these people are nasty. So they don't want to encourage this bile on themselves. No, I don't care. You give me a bile, I don't care. But don't tell lies about me. Don't tell lies about me. Don't say I've done things that I haven't done, said things I haven't said. Don't say that I'm doing things that I'm not doing, or I'm in cahoots with people that I'm not in cahoots with. It's all up here in your head because your head is sick. There's something wrong with you. You can't move on from anything. You can't move on. You're so twisted with your envy and spite. You know, it's sad. Honest to God, I swear to God, all today as I was driving backwards and forwards from the shopping centre twice, I was thinking about you. That's the last of it. You won't get my headspace after that. I was thinking, who hurt them? Who hurt them? Who did it to them? What made them such small people? You know, that you're you know, it's really sad. Why are your lives so small and sad that all you've got in your lives are over years later from God knows what imagined slight that you had, you're still talking about it, thinking about it, because you've got nothing in your lives. So sad. Honestly, I really pray for you. And the other thing is, you know, you'll never be part of my community. You know, these sort of communities of gossip and spite, and everybody's talking about everybody else and just goes round in a circle. This one says this about that one, they say that. That's all you're fit for. That's the only channel you'll be welcome part of the community. I wouldn't have you on my channel. And channels like mine, you know, channels who actually have something to say about victims, about cases, you know, something constructive to talk about. You're not welcome on those channels, not only mine, but other people's. And if you've got a channel yourself, you'll never build it because people can see right through you. You've got nothing to say. You've got no content. You've got nothing. And the thing that and I'm not blaming the people whose channels have said it on. You know, you can't control you can control what people say in your chat, of course. I wouldn't have someone in my chat slagging off somebody else from another channel because, you know, that's their channel. What they do is their business. If people support them, they support them. If they don't, they don't. The same as mine. I don't expect people to like me. Don't watch me if you don't like me. But don't go around saying things about me on other channels, things that aren't true. You go onto another channel and say, oh, I can't stand that woman, I don't like her, I don't agree with what she says. That's fine, don't have to agree with me. But when you're making up lies about me, saying I've done things, as I say, that I haven't done, that I've said things that I haven't said, best thing you can do is tell me to my face. Do you know what? Do you understand that? Actually speaking directly to someone, not being a coward and going shirking around on another channel and saying it because you think nobody will see it. These channels are open. I mean, this is how thick you are. Sorry, but you are thick. So this is my email. I mean, I've got all the screenshots anyway. If I wanted to, I could bring them all up now. But I'm not going to do that because you know what? I don't want your name in my mouth. Literally, don't want to say your names because, it makes me feel sick. Just think about it. So, Vicky Marie Chats sorry, I'm a slow typer, but I'm sure you've got time. You've got time, haven't you? You've got nothing else in your small lives, have you? I don't mean my lovely chatters. I'm talking about these trolley dollies. You've got nothing else in your lives but to, don't work. Well, what do you do? So, VickyMarieChats@gmail.com. You've got something to say to me, put it in writing, send it to me, and let's take it from there. Speak to me to my face. Don't think you can get away with it on other channels. Now, so yeah, just wanted to say that because I wanted you to know that I know. You're probably watching now because that's what you'll be doing, lurking. You can't, some of the ones that I'm talking about, you can't come into the chat because you've been banned. Others haven't been banned, but you will be banned next time you come on. So, it's just horrible sometimes. I tell you what does feel bad is people who have been in my chat, active members of my chat, Everyone's been really nice to them. I've been really nice to them. Everyone's given them nothing but sympathy for the horrible things supposedly that have happened to them in their lives. If they're even real, they're probably not even a real person. Going off into other chats and slagging me off. What? You know what? So the next time you come into, don't bother coming back into my chat, because you'll just be off straight away. So, okay, now I've said that. Two-faced people I can't stand. You got something to say to me, say it to my face. Send me an email. Do something like that. Or otherwise, I will expose you for the people that you are. So, okay. Now that I've finished that, I've had my rant. I've been building up to that rant all morning. And buying the wrong air fryer didn't help. Because it's like, but having said that, I think driving to the supermarket and back again, and driving back to the supermarket and back again, did give me time to think about it and what I was going to say. And it's true. Somebody hurt you at some time. Someone or something made you evil, spiteful, nasty, sad people. And I'm sorry for that. But it wasn't me. And I have a lot of people on my channel who've been through a lot. They're not nasty or spiteful or evil to anyone. But what, maybe you were just born that way. I don't know why I even feel sorry for you, but I do feel sorry for you, and I do pray for you. Believe it or not, you need it. You really need it. So now I'm going to come into the nice chat and speak to my lovely chatters who like to participate in the chat, but also hello to replay crew. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you to everybody who supports my channel. And you trolley dollies, whatever. Okay, now then, let's show the comments on stage. So I'll show the comments on stage because I've got two channels, of course. So what I've come to, sometimes people think they've been blocked because they can't see comments from the other channel, but it's just that. So if I put the comments on stage, they should all come up. Hi, sheep farming. Yeah, I know it's winter. I could do with a bit of winter. It's funny, isn't it? Because in July I always want it to be winter, but in winter I always want it to be hotter. Just never happy. But thank you, sheep farming. Hi, Bluebell. Hope you're well. Hi, Maria. So your friend dreamt about Erin last night. What did she dream? She was looking around her prison cell. Gosh. Oh, Ugg boots for Maria. Oh my God. Apparently, I heard that, but I didn't know if it was just a rumour. She can't be near the other prisoners, as one of them have accused her of lacing her food. Well, you would hope there's no death cap mushrooms growing in the prison, wouldn't you? But I wouldn't want her preparing my food, would you? She could be spitting in it. She's devious and snidey. And even if she hasn't got death cap mushrooms there to poison him, if she don't like them, she's going to be doing something, I would think. It is, Maria. Oh, do you know, it's just... and just a word to you creators out there who encourage this on your channels, and that's up to you. You do what you want with your channels. It's your channel. But some of you, like, you're really clever in other way. Why don't you do something positive with all that cleverness? This is what always, it's like, to me, some of these trolls on other channels, they're like Erin, really. They're just a watered-down version of Erin Patterson. And luckily, we don't have to know them in their real life. Imagine what they're like in their real life. This is what they're like on the internet to people that they don't even know. Can you imagine what sort of, horrible things they're concocting against their neighbours or people that slight them in real life? It's scary, isn't it? They're sort of mini Erin Pattersons all over the place. Yeah, I bet it was front pages Friday. There's so much news now about Erin. course, because now people you can, like say now they can talk about her freely. There's a lot of things that they've probably been dying to say and they couldn't because some podcasters have been in trouble from the judge. Yes, Bluebell, always some nutters around. It just makes me laugh how stupid they are, that they think that nobody can see what they're writing and nobody will come back to me and tell me. I don't even have to sit through all the shite that get don't have to sit through all the crappy videos or streams or whatever. People send it me because I have very loyal people in my community. These people, they will never be part of this community or any similar nice community. They'll only be able to be part of nasty communities. Oh, that's interesting, Friday. It's just envy and jealousy. Some of these things, they've just gone on for years. People don't move on from anything. And they're so caught up in their jealousy and envy. That's why I think Erin did what she did. Some people are so envious for no reason whatsoever. And you know what? I've been through so much in my life. If they think this makes any difference to me and how I feel, it just as if their opinion just doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is that I know that they're saying things that aren't true. That matters. Don't like liars. Hi, Skits. You've had that on your channel. I haven't seen your channel. I have to have a look at it. Oh, thank you for joining. Let's find my thank yous. No, what? Just anyway. Sometimes as I've said, sometimes I lurk on other channels. I never comment. Say anything bad about anybody. That's not my business on somebody else's channel, is it? But on my channel, I can do what I like. Thank you for joining. We'll see you on Thursday, Skits. Yeah, sometimes it's creator against creator, isn't it? Sometimes it's trolls. And I think what does hurt a little bit is sometimes one of the people that I know about has been an active chatter on my channel and everyone's just been really nice to them. They're always coming up with some drama that they'd had or something terrible that had happened. This had happened, that had happened. And all my community, because they're so nice, and me, saying, oh, that's awful, and then they're going off and talking about me, lying about me on another channel. I mean, there's something wrong with these people, isn't there? Literally is something wrong with them. I don't know if they're real people sometimes or just, I don't know if they're real people. Some of them are probably made up, but you don't know. You never know that on the internet, do you? You just don't know, and you just have to accept it. Yeah, Bluebell. It'd be someone you've probably seen in chat. One of the people anyway. So anyway, I'm going to talk about a couple of people. Nobody important, nobody consequential. But I just want to say that because in case they're watching, because I want them, I'm going to clip this and put it out there. I'm going to put a community post up about it. I want them to know I have all the screenshots, not only of that, but of lots of other things. I collect all my information. And if they carry on doing this, I am going to show them up for what they are. Anyway, I'm asleep. Oh my God. That's a bit dramatic. Oh yeah, the doctor, that's what we're going to look at. So the doctor, you remember Erin went to the hospital. The doctor has come out and said he knew the minute he met Erin, she was a psychopath, practically. Let's have a look at that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to mention, we'll look at that first. Pure evil. So the doctor called her pure evil, and it's funny because that was my thumbnail yesterday for the after the verdict. Evil Erin. She is evil. The more you think about this crime, there's not much worse crimes than this. Killing, triple murder. sitting and eating a meal with 3 people, or 4 people really, knowing that they were going to either die or at the very least be really, really poorly. There's not many worse crimes than that, is there? And vulnerable people, nice, ordinary people, if you like, religious people who'd been nothing but nice to this horrible woman. It just beggars belief, doesn't it, really? Anyway, let's have a listen to this. So, yeah, the doctors come out and called her out and out evil, apparently.
Good evening. A key witness is lifting the lid on the mushroom murderer, telling 7 News he knew Erin Patterson was an evil, calculated killer the moment he met her. The emergency doctor was one of the first to raise the alarm after the lethal lunch, and he's got a warning for any prisoner who gets in her way.
Hauled back to her new prison home, Erin Patterson spent her first night behind bars as a convicted mass murderer. A jury decided her fate yesterday. Dr. Christopher Webster made up his mind a long time ago, saying he knew from the moment he met Erin Patterson she was a callous, calculated killer.
She's evil. She had a problem. She had a dilemma. And
I mean, imagine coming out and saying that. Now, of course, when he was called as a witness, he couldn't say that on the stand. But he's coming out and saying this now. Amazing, really, isn't it? It's like what we all suspected about Erin, but we couldn't know for certain, and now we know for certain. And you know what? I find it encouraging that my gut instinct is always right. Same as you lot out there. There's not many of us on this channel that we didn't feel that Erin really basically was evil. And we tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but as the trial went on, it just became more and more certain that she was evil. As the trial developed, it didn't make you think, oh, well, maybe she's innocent. It made me think, God, she's definitely guilty. She's even worse than I thought she was. Sorry, I've just got to put up, I'm just getting a little bit distracted. I'm going to play that again in a minute. I just want to put a community post up, not about the trolls, but about this video, because this is what I've been looking up. I've been looking up some sort of tips for YouTubers and things, and one of the things they said is whenever you do a video, release a video, put a picture on your community post, because sometimes people don't get notifications, do they? Sometimes people don't get notifications. So what you were advised to do is put on a community post as well at the same time, and more people will get a notification that way. So we'll see. Just do that quick because I forgot to do it. I forgot to do it before I started. Right, there you go. Let's get back to this video now.
solution that she chose is sociopathic.
He was on call at Leongatha Hospital when the mass murderer first arrived, pretending to be sick.
Why have you come to hospital? And the response from Erin, I think I've got gastro. I thought, what's your name? And she said, Erin Patterson. And I was like, oh.
When asked where the lethal mushrooms came from,
Woolworths, single word, that's it. From that moment, in my mind, she was guilty, she was evil, and very smart to have planned it all and carry it out.
Yeah. Now, of course, she said he was lying, didn't she? When she was cross-examined, she said, oh, no, she definitely said Woolworths and the Asian grocers. So this was Erin's big mistake, wasn't it? I think one of the many, the Asian grocers. It was too late to take it back. So she said to him, only Woolworths. Then later, she said to people, Woolworths and an Asian grocers. And then probably then when she realised the investigations that caused, because at the end of the day, you know, they've got these people dying of death cap mushroom poisoning, and she said she got some of the mushrooms from an Asian grocer's. Well, the authorities, they can't just leave it at that, can they? Oh, well, just came from an Asian grocer's, doesn't matter, you know, might be another 100 cases as far as they know. And there were no other cases, were there? There were no other cases. So basically what Erin is saying, or was saying, she was the unluckiest person in the world because she got the one bag of death cap mushrooms in that Asian grocer's. Nobody else got death cap mushrooms, only Erin. So she's like, you know, how's your luck, Erin? But I think that was a big mistake from her, wasn't it? I think, right, if she would have thought about it properly, I think she didn't have time to think about it properly because she was never expecting it to get found out so quickly. She would have been better off saying right from the beginning, oh my God, I foraged them. You know, they could have been poisonous. That would have been her best bet right from day one, wasn't it? But she didn't say that, did she? Because she was caught on the hoof. Fancy this doctor knowing straight away, or you know, the thing is, if you're a doctor, policeman, you know, or any of these sort of, I think any job really where you're dealing with the public day in, day out, and you need a little bit of, you know, to do your job properly, you need a little bit of intuition. Like doctors, they're dealing with illnesses every way, and they've got to make quick decisions as to what might be wrong with that person. Now, they're probably not always right, you know, because at the end of the day, someone presents with symptoms. There's a long list of things it could be, but often people's lives depend on the fact of how quick a doctor comes to a decision. There's no doubt in my mind that Ian Wilkinson is only alive today because of the way the hospital diagnosed so quickly what was wrong. It was too late, unfortunately, for Don, Heather and Gail, but Ian survived because of this doctor's intuition. And police get an intuition. I'll tell you, as a teacher, you get an intuition. There's lots of jobs where you're dealing with people where you've always got to look below the surface, not take them at face value. You know, teaching isn't like that. You've got to try and work out what problems they're having, and you're constantly sort of aware of somebody's thought processes. Now, there are other jobs where you don't have to think about that. You don't have to try and assess what somebody's thinking. But I would go 100% with a doctor's intuition. You know, as I say, they won't always be right. They will get things wrong because they're human beings just like everybody else. And obviously, for a doctor, if a doctor makes a mistake, it can result in somebody dying. Whereas, you know, at the end of the day, if you're in Tesco's and you charge somebody too much for something or not enough for something, nobody dies, do they? You know, these jobs they're vital, they're important, but they are human beings doing them. You know, they do make mistakes, but I would definitely go 100% with this guy's intuition because he's used to dealing with people.
Chilling interaction prompted Dr. Webster to call police.
This is Dr. Chris Webster calling from Leongatha Hospital, and I have a concern regarding a patient that presented here earlier but has left the building and is potentially exposed to a fatal toxin from mushroom poisoning.
He was one of 53 crucial witnesses to take the stand during the marathon trial.
It was visceral. I felt the intensity of the hostility and the negativity towards me through her glare.
The prosecution never detailed a motive, but the jury didn't need to decide. Patterson was guilty.
If you don't like the way your in-laws treat you, there are ways to deal with that that don't involve snuffing out the lives of 3 innocent people and attempting to take a 4th. And presumably a 5th if her ex-husband Simon had accepted the invitation.
With the convicted killer behind bars, the Wilkinson and Patterson families spent the day in private.
Just relief, I think, relief for the family.
For 11 weeks, their lives were broadcast to the world.
That was a reporter. She's at somebody's. Is that Erin's house? You are trespassing.
In private.
Just relief,
What,
I think. Relief for the
And families spent.
Oh. Now, is this Erin's
Had accepted the
front door?
invitation.
With the convicted killer behind.
Is that Erin's front door? I'm not sure if that's Erin's front door. I think it might be. You are trespassing. If you do not leave immediately, the police will be called. And this woman's knocking on the door, for God's sake. You know, this is the mainstream media, always blaming the social media for everything. And this is the mainstream media doing this. Now, I don't know whose house that is, but it'd be even worse if it's Ian's house or Simon's house. You know, leave them alone. They've said they want to be left alone in private. They'll come out and make a statement sooner or later when they're ready to do it. So why is this woman there knocking on the door when it says you're trespassing? You know, I don't like that. You've got to, if you want an interview, you contact them and they'll either say yes or no, won't they? They don't want an interview. They have said them already. They want to be private. They've got to assimilate all this. You know, anyway, sorry, just a bit of a bug, because it's always the mainstream media that will have a go at social media for being this, that, and the other. And look at this. No, there's no social media people there, is there?
Behind bars, the Wilkinson and Patterson families spent the day in private.
just relief, I think. Relief for the family.
For 11 weeks, their lives were broadcast to the world.
I think the whole world's watching.
Yeah, everyone seems to be talking about it. You can't not talk about it. It's a thing happening in our local town.
In 2 weeks, it will be 2 years to the date when Erin Patterson lured her lunch guests here and served murder for lunch.
Oh, yeah, they can't get any food. So now they're at Erin's house. I don't know whose house that is. Terrible. If that was Simon's house or Ian's house, that's even more foul what they were doing, because they've asked for privacy, you know. But anyway, so this Cassie Zervos, the chief crime reporter, so she's at Erin's house. I mean, Erin's had all the gate locked, and of course all this went up, didn't it, the tape and that. Be interesting to see what happens to that house now. I don't know what happens to prisoners' assets. You know, I just don't know. I suppose they're still their assets. Will she sign it over to her kids? Doubt if she'll be signing it over to Simon. But then he's probably going to be the one in charge of the kids. I don't know where the kids are. You know, if they're still with Child Protection Services or if they're with Simon. I hope they're okay. You know, at first I felt very sorry for them in the sense of I thought, oh, they've lost their mum. But do you know what? Now I think I'm glad they've lost Erin, because Erin would not be a good mum to have, would she? You know, they kept saying what a brilliant mum she was. She's not a good mum. She killed their grandparents. She's not a good mum. You know, she's not. And as they get older, she'll get worse because she'll lose control over them. Erin, she's got control over them at the moment because they're young. And they get older and she loses control. Who knows what she might do to them? So I don't agree that she's a good mum. She's not.
The poison wrapped in pastry would go on to change the lives of many, including that of the killer cook herself, after her web of lies were revealed for the jury to judge.
She chose not to take the path of redemption. She chose death.
There's no winners, is there? There's no winners.
The triple murderer will be settling into prison life in isolation.
She's probably already climbed the hierarchy of the social structure of prison. I think anybody who messes with her is going to regret it. She's not just evil, but she's intelligent.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
Sort of.
And attention is fast turning to a possible appeal as Erin Patterson faces a life locked away. Her defence team wouldn't be drawn on the verdict late this afternoon, with the killer cook set to be sentenced later this year.
Outside court a day after a crushing defeat. Defence lawyer Colin Mandy still with nothing to say after he failed to convince a jury Erin Patterson's mushroom meal was a tragic.
He wasn't very good, was he? But he didn't really have a lot to work with, to be honest. Was he half-hearted? Sometimes it felt like he was just being half-hearted with his defence. I mean, there you've got the prosecution calling 50-odd witnesses and experts and, you name it, the prosecution called it. And then Colin Mandy called her. This woman. That was it. Her best friend that we suddenly learnt about yesterday. I still don't know much about her. I'm not really looking into her too much because I'm thinking, well, she's a right to her own privacy. She hasn't done anything, I suppose. But I am intrigued. I would like to know how they've become best friends. Where do they know each other from? But he didn't call her as a character witness. He didn't call Erin's sister as a character witness. The only person Colin Mandy called was this one. And she obviously thought she was clever enough to manipulate the jury. She's a master manipulator, this woman. Anyway, she didn't manage it, did she?
Accident.
Mr. Mandy, what did Erin say to you after the murder convictions?
The jury instead deciding the mother of two served a recipe for disaster with an intent to kill.
Mr. Mandy, are you planning on making an appeal?
First things first, there's a sentencing hearing, and the judge has to determine what the appropriate sentence is.
Evidence shown in court during the marathon trial now released for the...
Oh, these are those orangey plates, aren't they? This was the dishwasher. She did have orangey plates. It's not a full set, obviously, but she had orangey plates. And of course, what I said earlier, it's true. She can't appeal yet because she hasn't been sentenced. So you might appeal against the guilty verdict, but you need to be sentenced first. I hope to God she's going to get full life, and I mean proper life imprisonment, like no parole. This is 3 lives she's cut short. 3 innocent, vulnerable people. Just foul. So yeah, was it one of these orangey plates that she served hers on? Where is it?
World to see. An insight into Patterson's plan.
What's that? That's her phone, isn't it? One of her phones. Of course, they still haven't found the other one.
And to kill. The receipt of the food dehydrator.
That's the food dehydrator she bought on the same day that she'd been up to one of those sites where there were death cap mushrooms. Wasn't it €400 or something? Australian dollars. It was expensive, wasn't it?
Claimed she never owned, and CCTV of her dumping it in the days after the deadly lunch. Police recovered it and found samples of death caps on the trays. Also revealed.
Did she just not know that there was CCTV there? Why dump it there when it was on CCTV? Maybe she just didn't realise. And the thing is, why not just tell the police, yes, there's the dehydrator? If she was innocent, she would have told the police she had a dehydrator, not lied to them and said she didn't. That's duplicity. Not because she was scared. She just wouldn't be honest. I mean, if you were genuinely not guilty, you would want to help the police find out what had happened to these people, not hinder them. So this is the dining room. So Erin sat here, Heather here. Is that Ian there? I for Ian, I suppose. Can't work out which one's Gail or which is that a G or a D? Anyway, doesn't really matter. But Erin here, so she sat there, faced all these people around the table, knowing she was murdering them. I think she got a lot of pleasure in that.
The dining table where Patterson served that deadly meal, prayed with her in-laws and listened to them rave about how good it tasted. Knowing it was only a matter of time before they became sick, she...
Yeah, so somebody said there was a dog bed in. She had a cat, didn't she? Someone was saying the other day, there was a rumour that a cat, there's some sort of an animal bed there, I think. Cat or dog, I don't know, but did she poison a cat? Please, I mean, I don't know that for sure, just somebody mentioned it in the chat. I don't know if it's true or not, but please God that she didn't do that, just makes her even worse. But it's a beautiful house. She had so much to live for, didn't she? You know, so much good in her life. But you know what? Some people, it's just never enough.
The dining table where Patterson served that deadly meal, prayed with her in-laws and listened to them rave about how good it tasted.
Prayed with her in-laws. Yeah, prayed with them. They all prayed for her because she told them she had cancer, that she then said, no, she never said that. Dear me, how awful. Hi, David.
Knowing it was only a matter of time before they became sick, she too pretended to fall ill, but panicked and discharged herself from hospital after just 5 minutes as authorities closed in on her crime, recovering the leftovers, taking pictures of them, sampling them and confirming what they suspected. Death caps were slowly killing the 4 guests.
It was planned that she covered it up, that it was all done as a subterfuge, and it was all done in a very chilling and very frightening manner.
When police raided her home, they sat at that same dining table she served the meal at, showing no remorse as she continued to cover up her crime. But a jury saw through her web of lies, deciding Patterson is a cold-blooded killer.
Mr. Mandy, how are you feeling after yesterday's verdict?
Estelle Greepink, 7 News.
Yeah. Erin. That was one of her Facebook names, wasn't it? Erin, or something like that. Okay. Now, where am I going now? Yeah, I agree, Yvonne. That's what, you know, we'll see what happens with her best friend. Is she going to come out and do interviews? I don't know. Time will tell. There's a lot more to come out in this case, that's for sure. 100% there's more to come out, isn't there? Now then, where am I going now? Right, so now I want to tell you about these podcasters who I don't know, but if you're in Australia, I'm sure you'll know who they are. Kyle and Jackie O face possible prosecution for contempt for comments made during Erin Patterson's triple murder trial. So apparently the judge said, I encourage all commentators to engage their brains before they open their mouths. Don't know if you've seen my podcast, but you know, at the end of the day, I was just giving an opinion. I've not said. Now, if you listen to what these people have supposedly have said, it is perhaps a bit much, I don't know, but then you've got the free speech type thing, isn't it? But of course it's not America, it's Australia. So let's see what happened here. So these are on the Kyle and Jackie O show. These are the podcasters, have been referred for prosecution for contempt after comments made on air about the Erin Patterson case during her trial, including Kyle Sandilands saying, just lock that bitch up. It is a little bit extreme. Justice Christopher Beale also considered whether to take action for contempt against the Psychology of Serial Killers event and Mamma Mia podcasters. Now, we have watched the Mamma Mia podcast about Samantha Murphy's case. We have watched their podcast. I mean, it was ages ago, you probably don't remember. The 3 matters were raised by Justice Beale during Patterson's triple murder trial without the jury present. She was found guilty of all charges on Monday, but the Office of Public Prosecutions declined to comment. So on the 16th of June, Justice Beale told the Victorian Supreme Court, in the absence of the jury, this morning the presenters of the Kyle and Jackie O radio show commented on this case during a news segment on their show. I have read a transcript of that commentary. I encourage all commentators to engage their brains before they open their mouths. as they may otherwise land themselves and their organisations in hot water. I will be referring this morning's matter to the Office of Public Prosecutions for contempt proceedings. Our media unit will continue to closely monitor all media in relation to commentary on this case, whether the commentary be shock jocks, so-called influencers, social media commentators, or legacy media. Now, the thing is, you can't stop people giving their opinion about things, I think. You know, it would not be a good road to go down, in my opinion. ARN Media, the owner of the station Keys FM that broadcast the Kyle and Jackie O show, declined to comment. And Guardian Australia reviewed a podcast of the show, which was available online on the afternoon that Justice Beale made his comments. In the podcast, Sandilands says that after a news item about the trial, which erroneously said the jury were expected to retire to consider their verdict that week, they said, is this big lump still getting around, this big lump, miserable looking thing? Not nice, that is it though to say. Did she do it or what? And his co-host, Jackie Henderson, asked soon after, I mean, my question is, how strong is her case? Not strong for her, Sandilands' response. So the pair and a newsreader continued to discuss the case, including mobile phone tower evidence, and Sandilands incorrectly says, hasn't she done something like this before with the mushrooms? Sandilands goes on to say, but the rest of us already know, yeah, you fuck. Come on, bro, you can tell by looking at her. Just lock that bitch up. Henderson can be heard laughing while Sandilands talks about the case before he says, takes too long. Court should be in and out, decided and moved on. That's not true because it did take ever such a long time. But, there was a lot going on, wasn't there, in this case? And it's important, as irritating as it is for us, and never mind the families, etc., that went on for as long as it did. It's important that the verdict is come to fairly. At the end of the day, it's up to the jury not to watch podcasts and things, isn't it? The judge told the jury not to watch things, not to discuss the case with people. That's not really podcasters' fault, is it? If they did, I mean, what is he trying to say? You can't stop people talking about cases completely. That's like zip orders, gag orders, isn't it? Anyway, then Henderson says, well, until it's your turn one day when you're accused, right? What am I going to get accused of? Sandilands responds. And it's important to say there was no gag order on this case. The media were allowed to report on it. They just weren't allowed to take photos, release videos, and of course all these photos that are coming out now and that. The media, we were following a mainstream media blog, because that was the only way we could get information about what was happening every day. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Anyway, the section of the podcast in which the trial is discussed goes on for around 90 seconds and contains several bleeping sounds, as if words were being removed. On the 2nd of June, Justice Beale told the court he'd received an email from the defence about an event that had been held in Melbourne the previous Saturday. Beale did not mention the event, but Guardian Australia understands it was the Psychology of Serial Killers, which was held at Hammer Hall. And it's unclear what was said that raised concerns, but it was understood that comments about the Patterson case were made. Well, of course, Erin was not guilty then yet. So it shouldn't have been talked about as if she was guilty, I suppose. Anyway, Beale said on the 2nd of June that he would refer the event to the the Protho notary for investigation for possible sub judice contempt. And the following day he said he wished to ask the jurors whether any of them had attended an event in Melbourne without naming the event. I don't think ignorance is bliss in this situation. It is better to know than not to know, but none of the jurors had attended. Well, you can see that could be, I don't want, God forbid that this case, this verdict should ever come under question. I mean, that would be awful, isn't it? Oh, they're shock jocks, are they, Pamela? I don't know anything about them. What does that mean? Is that like clickbait? Are they clickbaiters? Is that what it means? Yeah. Dr. John. Oh, dear. Oh, are they awful? Right. I don't know anything about them. So it sounds like maybe they deserve it. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what Erin's bestie is going to do. I think he should be giving some interviews before long. So I'd just like to know where they met. I don't know that they met in prison or they didn't, or where did they meet then? How did they become best friends then? I'm just being nosy. I mean, people can say it's nothing to do with me, but, I think it's just human curiosity, isn't it? That's what you say to someone if oh, this is my best friend. Oh, yeah. And then as you get talking, it's, oh, where did you meet? It's not a terrible question, is it? And she was there on her own, it seemed. Is she? Are they more than friends? It doesn't matter as far as, it doesn't matter. I don't care if Erin is, straight, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual. I don't give a shit about any of that. Anyone who knows me and my channel, we don't tolerate homophobia on this channel. We don't judge people for their lifestyles or their sexual identity. I don't care. I'm just nosy. I just wanted to know, how does she know that woman, Alison? Because, I've been covering this case for a long time. It felt to me she just popped out of nowhere. Never heard of her before. Anyway, the event's producer did not respond to a request for comment. And on the 5th of June, Beale told the court he would consider proceedings for sub judice contempt against Mamma Mia at a more convenient time after he listened to a podcast which had been released the previous day but had since been removed. The discussion was full of highly prejudicial expressions of opinion, he said. I won't repeat them here. After being direct, sounds like my podcast. I mean, I know certainly as the case went on, it was the lies of it. I think the thing that I've always said about Erin is she is a liar. Whether she was guilty, she is guilty, we know now. But, throughout that trial, the issue was she guilty of deliberately murdering these people? But she was definitely a liar, and you can't escape that. Even if Erin's verdict would have been not guilty, she would always be remembered for being a terrible liar, wouldn't she? I remind media and podcasters that ignorance of the law is no excuse, and I remind them that the court's media team will continue to monitor coverage of this trial to safeguard the trial's integrity. Now, I do understand that. I would hate that if the trial then turned, the defence jumped on anything, said, oh, well, it's not a fair trial. It would be awful. I understand that. Mamma Mia did not respond to a request for comment. So, of course, these are popular things in Australia. I don't know if they'll be looking any further. Maybe they will. Maybe I will get an email saying, look, you've got to take your things down. Well, fair enough. If they want to tell me that, I will. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I've ever said anything disrespectful, or certainly not to the victims. As far as Erin's concerned, just her lies. And, you know, they can't say that I was wrong to call her a liar. She's a liar. We always knew they were liars. So, I don't know. Okay, facts. Let's have the Pinocchio because we've not had it for a while, just in case they make me take all my videos down. No. Yeah, get the Pinocchios out. Pinocchio, Pinocchio. Pinocchio, Pinocchio, wherefore art thou? Pinocchio. Lady Macbeth. That's Erin. Lady Macbeth. Okay, so another thing I want to look at. Let me just put some windows down. What have we got here? Oh, here's a little video of Colin. Poor Colin. Let's have a look at this. This is off Twitter.
The world found out that mushrooms had been used as a murder weapon, the intrigue was intense, and the attention has been extraordinary ever since. And this case, unfortunately, is now going to rank up there with some of Australia's most notorious and significant crime events. We're talking about the Chris Dawson teacher's pet murders just a few years ago, the Port Arthur massacre, the Link Cafe, the backpacker murders, Peter Falconia, those sorts of incidents, all the way back perhaps to the Azaria Chamberlain dingo case, and all of that driven by extreme and intensive media interest. At one point, there were 5 podcasts going on this story, guys, and some of them daily, and getting healthy numbers of downloads as well, not just from in Australia, but around the world. There's 2 documentaries being shot, 2 books being written. Bittersweet, though, for the town. They're at the centre of this now. Yes, there's an uptick in business and excitement perhaps from locals that suddenly they're the centre of the media world and the centre of global attention, but it's difficult to deal with at the same time. I mean, now the circus moves out of town and the towns are left with that stain, that memory, if you like, of the difficult moments that this case has produced. And for some of these 2 towns, it's will be they become a stop on the true crime tourism trail, and it's not a comfortable position for those townships to be in.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you know, that's just the way it is at the moment. True crime is popular. You know, people are interested in true crime. You can't, you know, there's nothing, what are you going to do? Tell people, no, you can't be interested in true crime. You know, they are, and that's it. Just have to accept it, you know. Just have to accept that's the way it is. People are interested in it for whatever reason. You know, maybe one day we'll do a video on that. Why are people so interested? I know why I'm interested in true crime. I'm interested in true crime because many years ago, I feel like I escaped death from a stalker. You know, that's why I'm interested. So I notice cases that get started off with just stalking cases. And then I became, you know, more interested just in true crime as a whole. So now we're going to have a look at this article. Who is Erin Patterson, the host of Australia's infamous mushroom lunch? You know, and this is what's going to everyone now that she's been found guilty, all that mainstream media, and the mainstream media, not only the social media, they'll be trying to find out who is Erin. Find out all about her background. And is that mural still there? I don't know if anybody knows, but remember the mural that went up? I might have a look at that in a minute. If you walk past the imposing Corinthian columns that welcome you to the State Library of Victoria, then head all the way through to the grand old building's archives, you can find what is possibly the first reference to Erin Patterson in the media. It's here on microfilm copy of the Age newspaper from early 1992 that you'll see Erin's name and a code for the science course at the University of Melbourne for which she'd just been offered a place. Back then she was Erin Scudder. So you find out later some people used to call her Scudder the Nutter. A teenager who was decades away from facing charges of murdering 3 people with a beef Wellington lunch containing death cap mushrooms. In scarce public references, in social media accounts and from her time in the witness box, a picture emerges of a woman who shifts and morphs depending on who is telling the story. There's the RSPCA worker who found love in a Melbourne council building. So she was an RSPCA worker. I just wouldn't trust her around animals. You know, not everybody who looks after animals, unfortunately, is good to them. You know, so there's something about Erin. Anyway, never mind. The air traffic controller whose behaviour is derided by some colleagues. The one-time bookstore owner in rural Western Australia. The would-be nurse. The mushroom forager. Now, you know, and this is another lie. I think she was saying she didn't feel comfortable in hospitals, but she wanted to be a nurse. I mean, come on. No, it doesn't make sense, does it? Oh, yeah, she's very uncomfortable in hospitals. She doesn't trust the medical profession. Oh, she wants to be a nurse and a midwife. None of it makes sense to me. You know, I cannot... I don't like hospitals. I'm scared of it. I can't imagine anything worse than being a nurse because I just would be a blubbering wreck all the time, worrying about people. I just couldn't do it. I'm glad people do it. I really am glad people do it. And some people are fabulous nurses, aren't they? Male and female. But it's not for me, not something I could do. But then why did Erin want to be a nurse? A midwife? Oh, my God. With babies like Lucy Letby, Bev Allitt. Then there's Erin Patterson, the star of the courtroom. Her sketched portrait featured on TV bulletins and news websites around the world. From the court, we learn about Erin, the self-described Christian. She said she's not Christian, who was accused of mocking her religious in-laws. So there's so many contradictions, aren't there, with Erin? Will the real Erin Patterson please stand up? And Erin, the social colleague who'd go for drinks with workmates. And then, of course, you've got the other colleagues who said she was aggressive and didn't socialise. So she's at every paradox, isn't she? In rural Korumbara, where she settles to raise her children, a picture emerges of a dedicated mum, a community volunteer and a liar, furious with her ex, but she's also plagued by low self-confidence and drifts from studying one university course after another. Yeah, she wasn't like her sister, the geologist. She just sort of stuck to one thing, didn't she? Erin has flipped from from one thing to another, isn't she? And then, of course, she's got this conviction for running away from the scene of an accident when she was drunk and she crashed her car, etc., when she was in her 20s, which, of course, didn't come up at court case. You know, may have expired those convictions now, but it says a lot about the sort of person she is. Because although everybody, when they're young, not that she was that young, she was in her late 20s, you know, we all do daft things that we think are sensible at the time. But to run away, you know, to not only crash, but then try and outrun the police, that's a little bit more than I think most people would do, I think. So who is Erin Patterson, the mushroom cook behind the fateful lunch? So from the courtroom in the regional Victorian town of Morwell, Erin's mind turned back to the suburbs of Melbourne. So this is what she said in her defence. When I was a kid, Mum would weigh us every week to make sure we weren't putting on too much weight. So I went to the extreme of barely eating. Now, that is a terrible thing, isn't it? That's like fat shaming, really. I think there's two ways to look at it. Some people will probably look at that and say, well, no, that's good. Make sure her weight didn't get out of control, because a lot of kids, of course, are obese. I was, I was allowed to get overweight when I was young, but I was comfort eating because of things that were going on at home. So, eating disorders, I don't think lightly of them. I do know that they are issues. Now, she had a lot of bad things to say about her childhood, but is that it? Is that? I mean, or was she actually called names by her parents? Well, I don't know the whole situation. Again, without talking to a sister, because you couldn't believe this might not even be true. The trouble is, Erin lies about so many things. How do we even know that this is true if her sister didn't stand up there and back her up? Because obviously her mum and dad are dead, so we can't ask them. So I don't even know if that's true what Erin is saying, because she's lied about everything. Anyway, Erin said that it was there in childhood her lifelong battles with eating disorders and low self-esteem began. It's been a never-ending battle of low self-esteem most of my adult life, and the further inroads I made into being middle-aged, the less good I felt about myself. Now, of course, you do, as you approach the menopause, or maybe she was going through the menopause as you get older, you do start to feel, especially if you were already had low self-esteem in the first place, not easy. Middle age is not easy life's not easy. When you think about it, what age is easy? But, but she's going through the same problems that everybody goes through. People don't murder 3 people because of their low self-esteem or the problems they're having with menopause or whatever. So, you can't, and also again, just don't know if it's true because you just can't believe Erin. Anyway, despite such feelings, many of those who know Erin remember her as smart and witty. She was raised in a brick home in a quiet, leafy street in Glen Waverley, a middle-class suburb deep in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs. Gum trees lined her family's front yard, with parklands and horse riding trails not far away. Hers was an intellectual family. Her mother, Heather, was a much-respected lecturer at Monash University, an expert in children's literature. She wrote books. Here's a mum there, that's a mum. They don't look alike at all, do they? Absolutely nothing alike, I would say there. Does anyone think they look alike? She wrote books and academic articles and gave interviews, including to the ABC. Many former colleagues remember the academic as a lovely co-worker who was dedicated to her job, but not someone they socialised with. I don't think I've seen a picture of her father. Erin's father, Eaton Scudder, held director roles in multiple Australian companies, including in his home state of South Australia and at Eden in New South Wales, where he later retired. Now, what companies, I wonder? What did he do? What business was he in? And while Erin was offered a place to study the subject at the University of Melbourne, her sister Simwen worked as a scientist at Monash University, but Erin was no scientist. I still think Erin, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion. Hi, Joanne. And I would like to know for sure, this is Erin's sister, isn't it? She's a very respected geologist, apparently. And this is a picture of her, but many years ago when she was only young. This was 1996. I think Erin may well have been jealous of Samwin, but I could be wrong. Will Samwin ever give an interview? Maybe not. So former colleagues remember her as aggressive and a strange co-worker. So this is her in the, obviously they've blurred out all the other people. So she's very slim there, isn't she? A lot slimmer than she is now, because people do put on weight as they get older, don't they? Except me, I've been up, down, up, down. I've never been really slim, but I've been thinner, fatter. At the moment, I'm sort of in the middle. Yeah. So to become an air traffic controller, it's not easy, is it? So she obviously is intelligent. But as I said earlier, you know, sometimes intelligent people, they're intelligent in some things, not in others, or sometimes they just overestimate their own intelligence. So this was 2001. Erin was sitting for an air services class photo that shows all the trainee air traffic controllers from that year. And we remember we were thinking, did she lose that job because of her conviction? Why did she leave that job? Anyway, did she leave or was she pushed? She was in her mid-20s and it was taken after she'd left her science course and, according to her ex-husband Simon, studied accounting. But in a lifelong pattern, she drifted onto another career. Erin didn't finish anything off, did she? You know, she didn't stick with anything. I mean, maybe that's a result of her low self-esteem. You know, and I would never, I'm not ridiculing anyone with low self-esteem. It's awful. I know that it's awful. But, she, you know, she's a triple murderer. She didn't care about Don, Heather and Gail's self-esteem, did she, or Ian's? She didn't care about them. So, you know, I do find it very hard to find any sympathy for Erin. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not even sorry. So she'd taken the notoriously difficult test to become an air traffic controller, and it had been one of the few to make it through to the training programme. And if you speak to the people who worked with Erin during this time, you can guarantee they've got a story to tell. Unlike later in her life, Erin caught the attention of others, and the accounts of some colleagues who the ABC confirmed worked with Erin at the same Melbourne office but declined to be identified paint a picture of her as a solitary young woman, an odd loner, while others remember someone who was abrupt and abrasive. One former colleague who spoke to the ABC described Erin as a little bit strange. In the small training group of 14 people, they said the air traffic controllers became close, like a second family. Now, one thing I will say is, obviously, if they're talking now about Erin, in the view of the fact she's just been found guilty for murdering 3 people and attempting to murder a 4th, you know, is their opinion of her going to be coloured by what's happened since? I don't know. Anyway, according to the former colleague, Erin was the only person who declined all invitations to social activities. We always joked, supported each other, but she was never part of that, he said. And that colleague remembered a bright young woman. She was clever. She's no dope. She's a dope. She's not as clever as she thinks she is. Oh, and he actually says that, I think, later, or someone does. She did not make friends during her time at Air Services Australia. 3 former colleagues said some would call her Crazy Erin and Scudder the Nutter behind her back. Which is a bit cruel, isn't it? At one point, Erin made a bullying complaint against another air traffic controller. And another former colleague who also didn't want to be named for work reasons, they probably still work there, remembered a more hostile version of Erin Scudder. She was quite aggressive in the way she spoke to people. Now, I could imagine that because we've seen videos of her pushing everybody out of the way. You know, I think I could see that she could be quite aggressive. You know, you've seen her be aggressive. They spoke of a tension while dealing with Erin, where they were always unsure how she would act. She wasn't necessarily always unpleasant to be around, but you tended to be wary that she could snap or say something unpleasant at the drop of a hat. I think that she's clever, they said. She's crafty, but she's not as clever as she thinks. I've been saying that from day one. Everyone said, oh, yeah, she's so intelligent. Oh, she's like a genius. She clearly isn't. She just thinks she is. She's so superior, so supercilious. You know, she's cleverer than the police. She's cleverer than everybody. But she is not as clever as she thinks she is. A third former colleague said that during her time at Air Services, Erin would call into the air traffic control centre, pretending to be another worker and say they were sick. They thought it was part of a plan Erin had to pick up lucrative shifts, covering the sick leave of others. Another remembers Erin giggling in the corner of the room when a confused air traffic controller was being quizzed by her bosses, who asked, "Why are you here? Didn't you call in sick?" They suspect that Erin was behind a phone call to the bosses earlier that day as a prank. Do you know, there's something quite, this is sort of random, but it's true. A lot of people, murderers, when you look into their past, they've been pranksters, like enjoyed hiding from people, like Russell, what was his name? Russell, that colonel, Russell somebody. You know, we did look quite a long time ago at his interrogation. He was a colonel in the Canadian Air Force, and he ended up being a serial killer and an rapist. And then it turned out that when he was young, he used to like hiding in cupboards and things, wardrobes, and he would be in there for hours, and then until his friend came home or whatever, and then jump out at them. And of course, that's what ended up being his modus operandi with his victims. Russell Williams, wasn't it? Russell Williams. He would hide in their house. He would go and case out their house beforehand. He would go in there maybe a couple of times before he actually murdered them or RAPD'd them. And he would hide. He got a kick out of hiding, of being there, hidden. He's not the only one. There was another one, Sean Great, I think his name was. Another one who used to do that. He used to hide it. He hid in the sofa. Not with people not knowing he was there. They're always red flags, aren't they? Let's have the red flag button and put that up for a while. With these cases, there are always red flags. Pranksters. I hate pranks, to be honest. I've had pranks done to me. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to do pranks. I think I might have mentioned, in the days before you had mobile phones. In fact, I didn't even have a phone at home. We used to go to the phone box as kids. Terrible, really. And we used to look for surnames in the phone book. This is what kids used to do. Now they go out stabbing each other with zombie knives and taking drugs and sniffing glue or whatever they do. In my generation, we did things like play black and white rabbit, knocking on the door and running away. And doing this where you'd go to a red telephone box. There'd always be a directory, a yellow pages in there. Or not yellow pages, a directory. God, those days, such innocent days, really, when you think about it. And we'd go through all the names and we'd pick, like, say there was a name like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone who was famous at the time. It wasn't Thatcher because I was older then, but let's say it was that times. And you look up the name, you see a phone number of someone who's called Thatcher, surname, and you'd ring up and say, is Margaret there? Or is Dennis there? You know what I mean? It's actually quite funny, really. And, we did that a lot. As some famous person, maybe a famous actor, like we look up the surname Peck and ring up and say, is Gregory there? Or whoever was famous at the time. And I was really young. I mean, like about 8 or 9. And that's what we did for pleasure then. As I say, now we go out and smoke weed and stab each other in the park. Didn't do that then, even in Manchester. So, and then one day we looked up Nightingale, and it was my turn to actually make the phone call. We'd be there with our 2p's or however much it was to make the phone call, and rang up this number and asked for Florence. That's so. And this old guy, honest to God, it broke my heart. Honest to God, is this guy? I said, is Florence there, please? And he said, I have got a sister called Florence, but she's been dead for about 5 years. Oh my God, that was the last time I ever did it. I just felt awful. I mean, we didn't mean any harm by it. It was just innocent pranks. But I'm not a lover of pranks. This poor guy. I said, think about him now. I think, poor guy is thinking he was phoning up asking about my sister, Oh dear. So anyway, that was the end of that game as far as I was concerned. And when we did do other things, we did things that were cheeky, as I say, knocking on the door and running away. One of the women from the shop up the road from where I live one day, she said to me, as I was walking past the shop, she I don't know why she thought it was me, but she said, did you knock on my door last night and run away? I was in the shower and I had to come all the way downstairs, or the bath. It wouldn't have been a shower. We didn't have showers then. We weren't rich to have showers, it was the bath. I was in the bath, she said, and I had to come all the way down, and then there was nobody there. Was it anything to do with you? And I'm like, no. So, pranks they're funny, if you like, at the time, but really can cause a lot of problems. So she'd called the air traffic control centre pretending to be another worker and say they were sick. And they thought it was part of a plan that Erin had. You can be sure there'd be something in it for Erin to pick up lucrative shifts covering the sick leave of others. And another remembers Erin giggling in the corner of the room when a confused air traffic controller was being... They suspect Erin was behind a phone call to the bosses earlier that day as a prank. Anyway, she wasn't an air traffic controller for long, apparently. Within 3 years of entering the industry, she was working in animal management for the RSPCA, based in the city of Monash's council building, back in Melbourne's southeast. And it's here in 2004 that she met a council engineer, Simon Patterson. And for this stage of her life, it is Erin and Simon's own narrations given to the court that we should rely on. Let me just make sure you're all okay. Hi, Claire. David, so funny. I know, these are innocent things, aren't they, that we used to do? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think young people do these innocent things these days, do they? As I say, they're all sat in the bedroom playing video games and smoking weed. Anyway, he was friends with people I'd become friends with. So we would come up against each other at lunch or after work drinks, that sort of thing, Erin told the court. They started dating and went camping with mates. We had other friends, not Monash friends, that he would do that with, and I was included in that, Erin said. Simon said he was drawn to Erin's lighter side. I guess some of the things that attracted me to her in the first place was definitely her intelligence. She's quite witty and can be quite funny. In the same year, she had her first serious brush with the law. In June 2004, Erin was almost 3 times over the legal limit when she was involved in a drunken crash at Glen Waverley, Court records reveal she was driving an unregistered car and didn't stop after the crash or give her name and address. She was also driving 35 kilometres over the speed limit in a 60 kilometre per hour zone. So she was driving 95 kilometres an hour. She pleaded guilty to 5 charges and she was convicted and fined $1,000, which she elected to pay in $40 monthly instalments. Her licence was cancelled and she was disqualified from driving in Victoria for 2.5 years. Then a $2,000 million inheritance changed everything. 3 years after they first met, Simon and Erin Patterson were married, with his cousin walking her down the aisle. Now this was strange, wasn't it? Erin's parents weren't at the wedding. She told the court they were on holiday in Russia on a train. That's odd, isn't it? No, is it just me? I mean, why weren't they at the wedding? It marked the start of a very significant period of her life. Maybe she got married sort of with short notice, so they'd already planned their trip. I don't know. Seems odd. Her paternal grandmother, Ora Scudder, died in Adelaide in July 2006. In her will, she left her house to a grandson, with the rest of her significant estate divided between her 2 sons, including Erin's father and 7 grandchildren. Gosh, she must have had a lot of money, mustn't she, Ora? Because Erin's share was big. So, it's a lot. She must have had a lot of money. Because Erin's share of the estate was $2 million. That's just her share. So apart from that, you've got the house left to the grandson. The rest of her estate divided between her sons and 7 grandchildren, but she still got $2 million. Anyway, it was dispersed across an 8-year period starting in 2007, and soon afterwards, Erin and her husband quit their council jobs and began travelling around Australia. So they moved to Pemberton. When they reached Western Australia, they could buy a house without a mortgage. They lived in Perth and also in York. And at one stage, she opened a second-hand bookstore in the small rural town of Pemberton, where her husband worked with the local council. But they didn't hang around there for long, and few residents contacted by the ABC remember much about the one-time bookstore owner. When her mother passed away from cancer in 2019, 8 years after her father had also died from cancer, the entire estate was left to Erin and her sister. It wasn't small. The parents' beachfront retirement home in Eden sold for $900,000. And that was that home. Bloody hell. No, so she's had a privileged life, hasn't she? A privileged life, for God's sake. Why did she end up... Sorry, I didn't realise I'd left my banner on all this time. Sorry, that I've just literally realised that. She had a privileged life. It wasn't enough, was it? But it often happens. People who lead privileged lives, they don't appreciate it. Sometimes, people who are dragged up do better in life and turn out to be better people, don't they? God. Aye. I mean, imagine being left that house. Oh, was this the house with the death wall, or was that another one? Imagine being left that, at least half of it, selling it and getting half the money, apart from the other inheritance you already had. You could do so many good things with it. Now, it seems like Erin did start off doing good things with it, doesn't it? Wasn't she, she supposedly lent money out. She's like Lady Bountiful, wasn't she? Erin Miss Moneybags, lending everybody money to buy their houses. But, she wanted so much for it. I've seen it happen. I literally know someone who did exactly that. In fact, I know more than one person who did exactly that. Yeah, giving out the money, but you know what? There's a price comes with all of it, isn't it? Look at that house, though. My God. So the money from the inheritances allowed Erin and Simon to provide interest-free loans worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to his 3 siblings and their partners so they could buy houses. But just how close Erin was to Simon's family and what the relationships were like between her and the 4 poisoning victims, her in-laws Gail and Don, along with Gail's sister Heather, and her husband Ian, has been probed throughout the trial. There are different versions. Bless Don and Gail, poor people. And then there's the caring, if somewhat needy daughter-in-law who loved and respected Simon's family, according to Erin's testimony. So yeah, according to Erin, she was the caring daughter-in-law. Erin told the court that her bond with Gail and Don Patterson was particularly close just after the traumatic birth of her son while she was in Western Australia. They travelled to Perth to be there with Erin and Simon and supported their transition to new parenthood. I remember being really relieved that Gail was there because I felt really out of my depth, Erin said. And this is what makes this whole thing so much worse. This couple, they supported Erin, especially Gail, was so kind to Erin, and look what she did to her. I had no idea what to do with a baby and I was not confident, and she was really supportive and gentle and patient with me. Now, how much have we got to go? It's just I need a little break. I'm going to carry on with it. I had no idea what to do with a baby and I was not confident, and she was really supportive and gentle and patient with me. Okay, so look, I need to get another drink. I've got nothing to drink and it's too hot to be without a drink. So I'm just going to go and get another drink. And you know what I'm going to do? I hope you'll be patient with me. I'm going to put on my, what's the word? The news about my books while I just go and get a quick drink. Hola, soy Vicky. And are you wanting to learn Spanish? Have you been trying to learn Spanish and it's just you can't put the words together? Common thing that people say to me is I know a lot of words, but I just can't put a sentence together. So I'm here to tell you how you can learn Spanish through English. Learn how to make sentences, not phrase book Spanish. Learn how to ask questions, answer questions. Right from beginner or whatever level you are, if you're struggling in putting it all together, there'll be a level I can offer you a solution. So I've been teaching Spanish for over 20 years to English-speaking people. And these are the books that I have written. Break the Language Barrier Level 1 for beginners. Level 2 for intermediate or sort of pre-intermediate. Level 3 intermediate. Level 4 upper intermediate, and level 5 for advanced. There's really level 5 is to practice what you've already learned. So if you've already learned a lot of Spanish, but you want some practice with translations, conversation practice, games, etc., level 5 is for you. If you know more than level 1, in other words, you know how to already speak in the present tense. If your grammar has gone past the present tense, but you're struggling with the past tenses, level 2 is the book for you. All these books are available on Amazon. Any Amazon, wherever you are in the world that you want to learn Spanish, you can order one of my books from Amazon. The other thing you can do, you may be interested in Zoom classes. I've left my contact details here on the video so that you can WhatsApp me or email me if you want to know about Zoom classes and how they work. Or another way you can learn is, along with the book, have recorded classes to learn. So although we're not sort of face to face as we would be on a Zoom class, you can still ask me questions. You can watch the class, on the video, watch the class which goes with the book. All the books have everything is the classes. I can either teach you face to face like we're talking now in Zoom classes, or if either your budget doesn't run that far or you haven't got the time for Zoom classes, we can do it as a course where you get the book and you get the actual recorded classes, and you can learn in your own time, but you can still ask me questions by email, just not in the moment because it's not an actual one-to-one class, but you'll find that is reflected in the price. So if you want more details of how you can become better at Spanish, and remember, it's always progress, not perfection that we're looking for. Perfection is impossible. Believe me, if you're going for perfection, that's not going to happen for a long time, if ever. But communication, confidence, fluidity, all those add up to be fluency, don't they? Okay, so my books offer explanations in English, step-by-step, easy-to-follow grammar, gradual build of vocabulary and conversation skills, and all the answers are included, and you always have full internet backup. In other words, you can always email me or WhatsApp me a question and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so what are you waiting for? If you want to learn Spanish, don't hesitate. Okay, gracias y hasta pronto.
After work at the minute, I was dropped by the idea of closing the shop thing because it's quite a heavy door with the girl working there and I just can't close it, so we'll stay in because he lives just time out or something. But then it's not away from this custody, so I've got a kid on his own side. So.
Okay, right, sorry, I'm on the live. Brilliant. Hey, I'm back. Thank you for watching that. And in fact, I don't put on my, what's the word? My housekeeping often enough. Let me put on my, I'm just going to put on the video about the, if I can find it, I might not be able to put it on if I can't find it. About, I don't know where it is. Do you know they've changed on StreamYard? They've changed everything. They've changed the layout. Why do people have to change things? You just get the hang of it all. And now they've changed the layout. So, there it is. Found it. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Did you ever want to know a little bit more about me and my background? How I came to become interested in true crime? How I ended up in Spain being a Spanish teacher? If you want to know a little bit about me, a little bit more about me as a person, you can find my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, on any Amazon site, wherever you live in the world. And I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. So it's the story of how I grew up in Manchester in the UK, on a council estate, and very humble beginnings, and my journey through personal tragedies, disastrous romances, and triumphs to become a single mum, a Spanish teacher, and an interpreter living in Spain, and eventually a YouTuber reporting on true crime. So it details my various experiences with people and places over 20 years. Of teaching over 20 years now. Ooh, where did that go? Of teaching Spanish and interpreting through the backdrop of the recession, financial uncertainty, severe flooding, and living through COVID. I hope you will find it funny, sad, amazing, silly, serious, and stranger than fiction at times. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to make you angry at least once. I hope to make you cry at least twice, and I hope to make you laugh many, many times. So thank you for all your support on my YouTube channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about me as a person, then you can find out there. So thank you so much. See you very soon in the next video. And as always, till then, may your God go with you. Bye. Hey, I'm back. Okay, so don't worry, no more adverts. That was a word from my sponsor, which is me. I'm my sponsor. Just make sure you're all okay in chat. Yep, I've managed to pour a drink, put ice in it. I've got no big ice cubes at the moment, unfortunately. These ice cubes will be gone in about 30 seconds. So I'll tell you, that's pineapple juice. This is a good drink to have when you're hot. It's a Spanish drink, but I haven't got any left. Anyway. So if you're ever in Spain and you want a refreshing drink, it's not alcoholic. Okay, right, let's get on now. So I've had my little break. Let's carry on. Hello, dog. It's a big dog, the German Shepherd's here. So Erin told the court her bond with Gail and Don Patterson was particularly close just after the traumatic birth of her son while she was in Western Australia. The couple travelled to Perth to be there with Erin and Simon and supported their transition to new parenthood. I remember being really relieved that Gail was there because I felt really out of my depth, Erin said. I had no idea what to do with a baby, and I was not confident, and she was really supportive and gentle and patient with me. And doesn't that just make it even more horrible what she did to her? She poisoned her. No, that's number one son doing the washing up in the background, Maria. Well, actually, his mate, he's not doing the washing up, God. He's cooking. Not cooking, making something to eat before he goes to work. Hey? Yeah. So, yeah. God, I've lost track of what I was saying now. So, yeah, how nice this woman was to her. And look what she did to her. I mean, she's just such a horrible person. You know, she's saying how kind they were to her, and she poisoned them. Awful. I don't know. Right, let's go back to this. I'm getting distracted. I'm getting hot now as well. I should have put my hair up. I actually washed my hair this morning. I left it down, but it's really hot on the back of my neck. So after the birth of their second child, Erin and Simon relocated to Corumburra because she said she wanted to be close to his parents, even staying with them when they first moved to Gippsland. After the birth, it was Don and Gail who brought Erin's son to meet his sister in hospital. Yeah, you know, the thing is, they keep saying that Erin was a great mum, but she killed her children's grandparents, who they were very close to. Simon testified that Erin and his father shared a love of knowledge and learning. and an interest in the world. And I think she loved his gentle nature. He had a gentle nature, Don. I bet Don was very similar to Ian, just a nice man. And you know, Erin was jealous, wasn't she? Because she felt that she had this close relationship, special relationship with Don. And when she felt that relationship, eroding, she killed him. So it's almost like, what a jealous lover would do. Oh, well, if I can't have him, nobody will. Horrible woman. And he said that his parents were really active in maintaining a good relationship with Erin. While Erin agreed with Crown Prosecutor Nanette Rogers that her relationship with Heather and Ian was neither close nor negative, she described the couple having ongoing roles in her life. Now, don't forget that Ian, and we know who would believe above Erin is definitely Ian, he said they were just acquaintances. And that's why they were so excited to be invited to that lunch, because they'd never been to lunch at Erin's before. They'd never really been close with her. They were acquaintances from the church, and he thought this would help their relationship get closer. Look at Heather's face. She's got that face of a kind person, hasn't she? How could this woman do this to these people? Ian had been my pastor for years and years, and I would see and speak to Ian and Heather a lot after church, she said. For the most part, Erin appeared settled in Gippsland. Online, she followed social media, updates of amateur theatre productions in the region. She told the court about how she applied to study nursing and midwifery at university, a course which she never commenced. Thank God for that. I think all of us have had nightmares about maybe waking up in our hospital bed to see Erin Patterson peering over her glasses at us. Oh my God. She just is the vibes you get are Beverly Allert, Lucy Letby. She should never have been. How does a person who apparently doesn't like hospitals, doesn't have any faith or trust in the hospital system or in, the medical profession, how do they want to be a nurse? Just crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. So at one stage, she edited a local newsletter. She joined a Facebook group discussing the conviction of Kelly Lane. Yeah, I would love to see those messages from that Facebook group. This is another reason why I don't feel any sympathy for Erin. Whatever comments we've made about her, I bet she was on that Facebook group making loads of comments about Kelly Lane. Now, I don't know a lot about that case. In fact, I know absolutely zero about it. But yeah, jailed over the murder of her baby daughter. That would be a case I would avoid anyway because it involves babies. But but Erin was full of it, wasn't she? That's where she got her nickname Super Sleuth. She followed the Instagram account of a podcast examining the allegations involving Jeremy Epstein. She liked a bit of true crime, didn't she, Erin? So, now she's right in the centre of it all. But the testimonies of other family members described Erin as drifting from the family in recent years as tensions between her and Simon rose. And I'd still like to know, did Simon have somebody else? Because apparently she didn't want him, but it didn't seem like she wanted anyone else to have him. Was she, what was Erin's romantic life? Did she have any? Is this best friend of her? Is there more to it? Or is it just a friendship? These are all questions. And to me, wonder if Simon, had any interest in anybody else. Private venting during times of family tension. Erin said she was hurt when she thought she was a last-minute invite to Gail's 70th birthday celebration in the months before the fatal lunch. Do you want to take that curry that's in the...
I'll have that for dinner. If you make him, I didn't find that back and then the stress rate.
Oh, right, okay. So Erin said she was hurt when she thought she was a last-minute invite to Gail's 70th birthday celebration in the months before the fatal lunch. I felt hurt because I thought I'd been left off the invite list. This is the crux of it all, isn't it? When she started feeling rejected. That ice has disappeared already. There are also suggestions of the tense and strained relationships presented to the jury by prosecutors in screenshots of rants made by Erin to online friends about deadbeat Simon and his lost cause family. And from the first year of their son's life, Simon and Erin went through a number of short-term separations before a more permanent split and financial settlement was reached in 2015. Simon told the court the pair remained close. They shared custody of their 2 children. They went on family holidays together and they had chatty communication. And then remember this tax return. I think this is a crux in it. But in 2022, Simon filed a tax return where he listed himself as single. The result of a mix-up with his accountant, he said. Maybe not, but who knows. This changed his relationship with Erin, who claimed child support through the federal government agency. It seems weird, but anyway. Simon said the agency told him to stop paying for school fees and medical bills he had previously covering, a move that upset his increasingly estranged wife. It is a tension of which the couple's children and wider family were all aware. Simon's brother Matthew said that in the 2 years before the fatal lunch, Erin had missed some family events and her attendance at other events had been briefer. All right, so these are the family members that benefited from, Erin's generosity. Erin's own online messages to friends shown in court showed the deep frustration she sometimes felt after the breakdown of the relationship. In one, amid discussion of child support issues, she described Simon's family as a lost cause before saying she wanted nothing to do with them. And in a further exchange about his family, she said, fuck him. During another group chat, she said, this family, I swear to effing God. So she'd gone from, this is Erin, isn't it? What a liar she is. She's gone from saying, oh yeah, they were so nice to me. I love them. And then in the meantime, to her Facebook friend, she's saying she couldn't, she's actually swearing about them, saying horrible things about them. That was truthfully how she felt, I think. So during another group chat, she said, this family, I swear to effing God, why isn't she horrified her son is such a deadbeat that I had no choice but to claim, Erin wrote to a friend. Which friend, I wonder? In court, Erin told the jury she was ashamed of the way she'd spoken. Oh yeah, I'm ashamed now because I've been caught out. Erin, when she gets caught out, she's ashamed. She wasn't ashamed then. She's like bragging it out to everybody. That's what, she's a braggart as well, Erin, isn't it? Like about the mushrooms. Oh, I've been putting powdered mushrooms in everything and they don't, even in my children's chocolate muffins, and they hadn't even realised she's a braggart. But now, no, when she's in court giving her, no, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I feel ashamed, I love them. Oh, come on, I've got to put on the Pinocchio is necessary. Liar, liar, liar. I think I'm going to make up a poem about Erin and what a liar she is. I mean, conniving, sinister, nasty, two-faced, murderous. All those things are Erin Patterson. And these poor people up in the top right-hand corner here, they had the misfortune to not give her the, I don't know, the largesse that she thought she was entitled to. They didn't worship her enough. They didn't invite her to the birthday party. They didn't stick up for her as much as they should have done. And they paid for it with their lives. 3 of these people paid for it with their lives. And the 4th person has paid for it with a life sentence of trauma. God, I hope Erin gets full, proper life sentence. Really do. I have absolutely no sympathy for this horrible woman. Nothing. After a jury verdict, her next chapter is yet to be written. So in the end, it was the jurors listened to the evidence who had to sift through the stories and all the different accounts of Erin Patterson. To weigh up the evidence, consider the importance of an estranged wife venting online. An accused murderer insisting on her innocence and the conflicting accounts offered by Erin and other witnesses. The trial is now over with convictions of murder and attempted murder handed down, and 3 decades after that first minor newspaper reference, Erin Patterson has become a name steeped in infamy. She certainly has. Let's have a look at her mural. So remember, during the trial, this mural popped up in Melbourne. Now, people have been saying to me, commenting, that this apparently is a big thing in Melbourne, murals. Oh, it's been updated. Let's have a look. Because apparently this mural initially said bon appetit, for God's sake. Bloody hell. I've got a little video here of Erin leaving. Oh, hang on, let me just share it. So this is her leaving Morwell after she was found guilty of murder, apparently. But she's in the van, you can't see her. God. Good riddance to bad rubbish, Morwell is thinking. I really do think, though, unfortunately, I think Erin is one of those people, like Myra Hindley. Anyone who doesn't know about Myra Hindley, she actually had quite a good time in prison, didn't she, Myra Hindley? She had an affair, but she had various affairs, one of which with a prison warder who tried to help her escape. Because, you know, these are manipulative women. You know, you can never underestimate, you know, because Erin, oops, sorry, I'm going back. You know, because Erin is intelligent, she'll be in that prison, she'll be manipulating everyone she can. Like Laurie Vallow, she's another one. So quite often these horrible manipulative people, they get an okay in prison because they just manipulate the prisoners. The other prisoners are quite easy, maybe easier to manipulate because they're maybe not as intelligent as they are, or maybe they've not got as much. They can buy that. Erin's got money; she can buy anyone in that prison, can't she? Let's have another look what it says. So, a graffiti mural of Erin Patterson located in a Melbourne laneway has been updated with a bold change after the killer cook was found guilty of poisoning 4 in-laws. So the mural was titled Bon Appetit by Jared Greach, and it was first spotted mid-trial on June the 15th in a laneway near the Queen Victoria Market in Melbourne. But it was updated in the 24 hours since Patterson, 50, was found guilty of killing 3 members of her husband Simon Patterson's family and the attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson. Plastered in large red lettering, reminiscent of a stamp, the word guilty now covers Patterson's face. Oh, look at that. So this is how it was. And this is how it is now. It's got guilty across it. Good. Good. So she, because to be honest, I thought it was a bit in bad taste. Apart from the fact, personally, I'm not that impressed with the mural. What is it about Erin Patterson? She reminds me of a rabbit. Do you know who she reminds me of? Let's see if I can get... I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous, but literally. This is who Erin Patterson reminds me of. Have you ever watched Watership Down? Like, you're going to think I'm mad. But literally, if you've ever watched Watership Down, and which is a brilliant animated film about rabbits, of all things, and the villain in it is called General Woundwort. This is who Erin reminds me of. Just those photos of her. And especially that mural, the mural. Look. That's the mural. Here's General Woundwort. See if I can put his... Look, looks like her. It's a bit of her. It's the teeth, isn't it? Yeah, she's like a rodent, isn't she? I'm going to put those 2 pictures next to each other on a photo. I'm going to do that in Canva or somewhere. I might do it now, actually, while we're on here. That's who she's reminded me of right from the start. Don't you think she looks like that? Oh, Watership. Is it Watership Down? Yeah. Absolute spit. Let me just do a quick one. Put them together. Just talk amongst yourselves. It'll just take me a little minute. And, I haven't watched Watership Down for ages. Just literally, though, the first time, I think it was the mural that made me think of it. I thought, God, she looks like that bloody horrible, the bad rabbit. And it's a lovely film, that. It'll make you cry. If you've never seen it, I would recommend you to watch it. It's a lovely film, but it's also very sad in the ending of it. Now, and that reminds me, while I was out and about today, in all those trips to the bloody shopping centre, because if you've just come in and you didn't see the beginning of this live, I went to the shopping centre this morning to buy a new air fryer. And I came back with what I thought was an air fryer. And when I got home, I realised it wasn't an air fryer. It was just a fryer, for frying chips or whatever. Just totally bought something that was the wrong thing. So I had to go all the way back to the shopping centre. Anyway, So going back to what I was going to say, I did see a little kitten run over on the road. Oh my God, I was, that sort of thing just upsets me for ages. But what I do whenever I see an animal that's been run over, it's a lot, unfortunately, kittens, rabbits, you name it. I always say a little prayer and just, blast them up to heaven, if you like, make a little, a little prayer to send them up to wherever animals go to, etc. And I've forgotten why I started saying this. So, yeah, if you're a person who's sensitive about animals as well, like I am, too sensitive sometimes, I think, be careful if you haven't seen that film. It's sad. It's not all sad. It's a very, very interesting film, very good film. It's an animated film. It's God knows how old it is now. Very old, I would imagine. But this general wound work, sorry, I am preparing the picture as we speak. He was the baddie. He was the baddie rabbit in here. It was like, so it's all animated and it's all about rabbits. But he was the baddie. See if I can put that in. Yeah, there it is. Nearly there, nearly there. And the first time I saw this mural about Erin, I thought, oh my God, that's general wound work. Now, although I don't think it's not a children's film. I mean, it's, because there are things that, you can see from this picture of general wound work. There's blood involved in it, there's fighting involved in it. It's a fabulous book as well. It's a fabulous book. And it's a brilliant film. So it's not a children's film, is what I'm saying. It's, right, let me find, all right, I have done it now. I'm going to load it up and then we can look at the two together. It's got a message. Oh God, they've changed all the bloody, oh God, StreamYard. I know it's getting better, StreamYard. There are more things that it does now than what it did before. And it's great. It's just that it takes, someone who's a bit of a technophobe like me a little while to get used to all the changes. All the new things it can do. I probably never use any of them. There you go. Now, tell me that is not Erin Patterson, general wound work. So you can see it's not a children's film, really, because there's a lot of blood on there. And general wound work, he's a baddie in this film. He's the baddie of the film. And this is where the song Bright Eyes comes from. Remember that? I'll sing it a little bit. Bright eyes, burning like fire. Bright eyes, how can you burn? Oh, look, the German Shepherd's here. She's coming. You like it when I sing. Do you know what? This dog appreciates my singing, even if nobody else does. How can the lights that burn so brightly suddenly fade so dim? Bright eyes. That was Simon and Garfunkel, I think, that sang that. Anyway, that was the theme song from the film. There you go, that's Erin. So now, I should have picked the picture that's got guilty on it, shouldn't I? Hang on. Use the wrong picture. Let's see. Let's get the guilty one up. How can the lights that burn so brightly suddenly burn so dim? Bright eyes. Bright eyes. No, I know I'm rubbish at singing, but I like singing. My members like it. We always have a little sing-song on a members live, don't we? Or I'll probably try, maybe I'll try and record that song for Thursday. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the guilty one up there now. Bright eyes, burning like fire. Do you know, I would have loved to have a good voice. I think I would have quite liked to have been a singer. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So I like a bit of karaoke and stuff, but yeah, you know. Now, something that I was going to get, I'll just mention it now as we're on. So another big news item this week, depending on the way you look at it, but definitely if you're from Manchester, is Oasis. You know, starting their tour. I thought I'm going to buy one of those hats and some maracas one day to come on stage. I love Oasis. I love Liam Gallagher. You know, I know he's uses bad language and whatever he does, but I love him. I think he's funny. I think he's a nice person under everything, you know. So yeah, I need to get one of those hats and some maracas so I can put on an Oasis tribute on the members one time. Right, I think I've downloaded that now. Sorry, I'm waffling, aren't I? Where's the waffle emoji? I like a bit of a waffle. Right, if I delete that, let's. Sorry, it's taking longer than normal because StreamYard's changed everything. So it's taking me a little bit longer to find things that I want to upload. There you go. Guilty. Erin Woundwort. Yeah. Oh, unfortunately now with the guilty over it, you can't see the teeth so much because I think part of the reason she looks so much like General Woundwort is because of the teeth, isn't it? But anyway, might sort that out for next time. Maria, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a sad song, but a nice song, isn't it? And that was the sort of hero of it. It was his brother, wasn't it, who died? His brother Rabbit. It's a lovely film. I might have to watch it again. Okay, hi. So, okay. Sorry, I'm back now. Hang on, let me take that off. But yeah, that's what it's always reminded me of. So, anyway, maybe people think I'm being cruel to Erin. I don't know. I don't think I'm being cruel because at the end of the day, she just murdered 3 people and tried to murder a 4th. And of course, now, when is it going to come out about what she did to Simon? She's tried to kill Simon, hasn't she? Probably a couple of times. And I'm sure that's going to come out. I'm not going to, well, I might look at, let's have a look. I have been on for quite a long time. But let's have a look. Right, so all we know is that 4 attempted murder charges were dropped in this case. Let's have a look at this. I'm sure there's more going to come out about this. 4 attempted murder cases dropped in the Patterson case. 4 attempted murder charges against Simon, or, of attempted murder to Simon. Of course, he didn't turn up at that last lunch. It just said the charges of attempted murder relating to Simon Patterson had been discontinued by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Wonder why that was. I think it was just a I don't think the evidence was as strong maybe as it was, for the murders of the lunch thing. So maybe that's why. More will come out about that, I'm sure, as time goes on. Won't it? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. Just from the local supermarket. They've got some lovely little dresses in there. It was only about $9.99 or something. So, yeah, Maria, do you think we'll probably find out more as time goes on about these murder charges? Loads more still to come out. No doubt that there's still lots more to come out. Okay, so I think that's about it. Let me just see for what I was going to show you. Yeah. So, number 1 son has just gone to work. Thank God he's going to be working a 10-hour shift or something. It's great. The only problem is, as he goes out to work, there's a big conflab about he always can't find something till the last minute. And then he couldn't find his aftershave, which he then found, which is great. But then I get gassed by it. So currently I'm gassed by aftershave that's been sprayed everywhere. But, what can I say? I can't say, oh, no, you can't spray your aftershave before you go to work. So, okay, that's it. So it's nearly 3 o'clock. So I've been on for quite a long time. I haven't got... The good thing about the summer now being here, apart from the heat, though it is a bit cooler today, only 33 degrees, is I have got much more time. I haven't got so many Spanish classes. So I've got much more time to do videos, etc. All the things that I want to catch up from, from when I've been concentrating on the mushroom murder trial. Got lots of videos to do. The problem is it's only the mornings that I can do them because it's just so hot in the evenings. Normally by the time 10 o'clock comes, I'm in bed. So even before that, I probably, unless I get a nap, sometimes if I get a nap and it cools down in the evening, maybe I'll get a bit of a second wind in the evening, but most of the time I'm just flat out. I just want to sort of listen to rubbish or watch rubbish on the telly. and not think about things. Because the thing is, when I do a video about any of these victims, I need to give them my full attention. You know, these cases. I don't want to be doing them sort of half-hearted, tired, etc. I want to be doing them with my full sort of attention. So I'm getting hotter and hotter. So I'm going to have to get my hair up, I think. That's the first thing that I've got to do. You know, I'm fed up of having my hair up, but the trouble is, you just can't have it down in this weather. But anyway. Okay, so have a good day, a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world. I want to thank Skits West Side Crime Music for becoming a member. We'll see you in the members on Thursday. Is that tomorrow? No, it's Tuesday. I keep forgetting what day it is. Also, just thank everybody for watching, for community. Hey, shh. Shh. Tia. For participating in a positive way. Thank you so much. She's done quite well, actually. That's the first time she's barked. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let me put my banner back up. It's free to subscribe. Don't forget to press notifications so you get notifications of any new videos that are coming out. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you. Let's have this song on at the end.
Oh, you Vicky Marie, you're so dream, you're so bold. Your YouTube world is the purest gold. With